Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Josh, and in today's video I'm going to be touching base on some different updates around stimulus along with some other government related news. After the White House initially said they could not issue an eviction moratorium, they have since reversed their decision completely. We'll talk a little bit on that, how long the new eviction moratorium will be for, and kind of the whole backstory. New York City is becoming the first city in our nation to now require proof of vaccination in order to enter all restaurants, gyms, and indoor entertainment venues. The next round of child tax credit payments are set to go out next week, and what you should expect. And the Senate expects to vote on numerous amendments today, with the vote on the bipartisan infrastructure bill set to happen later this week. Plus, what are the real possibilities of a fourth stimulus check? We'll be touching base on all those topics, plus a lot more in this video. But first, before I get into today's update, if you would like to receive a couple of free stocks from Webull, or one by just opening an account, make sure to claim them for a limited period of time by clicking my link in the description box below. Okay, so jumping right into the update for today, after the eviction moratorium expired this past Saturday, the CDC stepped in and issued yet another moratorium on evictions, which will last another 60 days, expiring on October 3rd. This time, the eviction ban will be targeted at areas of the country with the highest level of COVID infections, which is estimated to cover around 90% of renters. And with more than 11 million Americans behind on their rent, this was definitely a welcoming extension for them. Now, just a little backstory on this. Back in June, the Supreme Court ruled that the eviction moratorium could only be extended through legislation. In other words, President Biden nor any future president could issue an executive order to extend the policy. Just like most other laws, they would need to pass the moratorium with a majority vote in the House, 60 votes in the Senate, and have the president sign it into law. Being that the CDC is extending the eviction moratorium for another 60 days without congressional approval, we'll just have to wait and see how the courts react. In the meantime, this should give cities and states a little bit more time to distribute the billions of dollars that they did receive for rental assistance. At the moment, it's being estimated that only around 6% of that money reached households by the end of June. So, how did all of this come about? Well, over this past weekend, as I mentioned, the House failed to pass the legislation to extend the moratorium, and House Speaker Nancy Pelosi decided to let everyone go home for their August recess. Because Pelosi gave up so easily, progressive Democrats became enraged, and Representative Cori Bush decided to publicly pressure the White House to extend it by camping out on the Capitol steps for 5 whole days. During this time, she gained a lot of national attention, something House representatives don't normally receive. Behind the scenes, Nancy Pelosi had been reaching out to the president, pleading her case that because the new Delta variant of the virus is just so dangerous, we needed to declare this a public health emergency. In a loophole, Pelosi urged the president to have the CDC halt evictions because of the public health emergency in areas where they were also recommending masking. However, as I mentioned earlier, the Supreme Court had already ruled in a 5-4 decision that the CDC previously exceeded their authority and would no longer be able to issue any more of these eviction moratoriums. With that said, it should be real interesting to see how the courts react to the CDC, pretty much completely ignoring their ruling, and going forward with yet another moratorium on evictions. In some other news, the mayor of New York City, Bill de Blasio, is now requiring people to be vaccinated in order to enter all restaurants, fitness centers, and entertainment venues. These policies will be launched on August 16th and enforced on September 13th. Watch.
Giving us more and more ability to fight back the Delta variant. By fighting the Delta variant, we will continue our recovery, and we will ultimately beat COVID. So today I announce a new approach, which we're calling the Key to NYC Pass. The key to New York City. When you hear those words, I want you to imagine the notion that because someone's vaccinated, they can do all the amazing things that are available in this city. This is a miraculous place, literally full of wonders. And if you're vaccinated, all that's going to open up to you. You'll have the key, you can open the door. But if you're unvaccinated, unfortunately, you will not be able to participate in many things. That's the point we're trying to get across. It's time for people to see vaccination as literally necessary to living a good and full and healthy life. The key to NYC Pass will be a first-in-the-nation approach. It will require vaccination for workers and customers in indoor dining, in indoor fitness facilities, indoor entertainment facilities. This is going to be a requirement. The only way to patronize these establishments indoors will be if you're vaccinated, at least one dose. The same for folks in terms of work.
Now, I've never been one on this channel to be openly for or against the vaccine. In my opinion, we are all adults here and can make the right decision for ourselves and our family, whether that's to get the vaccine or to not get the vaccine. We all know what's best for ourselves. However, this new vaccine mandate in New York City just seems outright foolish. If this is something that they're seriously considering to enforce and don't later back out on, this is absolutely going to backfire. Here's the deal. If you or I had the vaccine, we should be protected. That's what vaccines are made for. After all, studies show they've been extremely effective at preventing hospitalization and death. If someone is vaccinated and an unvaccinated person comes into their personal space, the vaccinated person should absolutely be protected. Because what's the point of vaccines if they don't actually work? If someone doesn't plan on getting the vaccine, again, that's their personal choice, but cities and mayors like Bill de Blasio shouldn't have two different levels of citizenship based on personal health decisions. It's crazy, and people will and should push back against this. Again, I've never once on this channel said I've been against vaccines, and I fully believe in the science behind them, but I also respect people's decisions if they wish to not get vaccinated. We are all grown adults here, and we can make the best decision for ourselves and our families. This mandate by the mayor is absolutely going to backfire, and people have every right to be outraged over his decision. Okay, so on a lighter note, the second round of child tax credit payments are expected to go out next week. Rather than being sent out on the 15th like they were last month, this time, instead, since the 15th falls on a Sunday, they'll be sent out next Friday. You should be receiving them in the same method in which you received the first round, whether that be a direct deposit or a check in the mail. Again, if you have children under the age of 6, you'll receive $300 for each child. Then each kid you have ages 6 to 17, you'll be receiving $250. The age of your child will be determined by how old they'll be on December 31st of this year. So if they're still 5 on December 31st, you'll be receiving $300. If they turn 6 on December 31st, instead, you'll only be eligible for $250. And this credit, unlike in previous years, also includes 17-year-olds, so as long as your kid is still the age of 17 on December 31st, you'll be eligible to receive $250. Even though it's too late to opt out of these payments for the next one, you can still choose to opt out of future payments for whatever reason, as long as you do so by August 30th. If you would simply rather receive a larger tax refund next year and don't really need these extra monthly payments now, that might be a good reason to do so. Alrighty, so in other stimulus-related news, with Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer hoping to hold a vote on the infrastructure bill by the end of this week, today their focus is going to be on amendments. So far, nearly 300 amendments have been filed, although not everyone is going to get their proposals on the Senate floor. Because of this, many senators on both sides of the aisle are pretty much frustrated. In many instances, senators are actually holding amendments hostage by saying they won't vote on them unless their own priorities are also voted on. Democratic Senator Jon Tester has already complained that the package is not moving fast enough. In a statement, Tester said, "There are people holding amendments that they really shouldn't be. Vote up or down. Churn and burn, baby." At this point, due to all the slowdowns over the amendments, Tester believes they won't hold an actual vote on the bill until Saturday. After that, it's likely that the Senate will go home for their August recess. And in case you were wondering, so far, a fourth stimulus check is not being included in the bipartisan infrastructure bill, nor is it being placed in the other bill the Democrats plan on passing through reconciliation. So far, it looks like there is a possibility that the increased child tax credit payments could be extended into future years, but again, despite a lot of push for a fourth check, there is still not one being included. While there's not a 0% chance of a fourth stimulus check ever passing, At this point, I would say the chances are pretty slim. But on that note, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this video. But before I go, again, if you would like to receive a couple free stocks from Webull, valued up to $2,300, make sure to claim them by clicking my link in the description box below. Once you open an account with Webull, you will receive the first free stock valued up to $300. Then, once you make a deposit of at least $5, yes, just $5, at that point, Webull will send you the second free stock, this one being valued up to $2,000. So again, thank you so much for watching, and if you did make it all the way to the end, I would greatly appreciate it if you could take just a few more seconds out of your day to like this video, share it, and also subscribe if you haven't already. And until next time, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video.